he's quite a guy. I think Joan still flies some, doesn't she?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think quite as much as she used to.
She's still got 2 of those 3 tabs.
Oh, she's down there.
Beautiful, yeah, beautiful airplane.
Well, one of her sons flies. I don't know if they both do or one
I
does.
think Chris does for sure.
Chris does, yeah. The other one's not around here.
No, he's a lawyer in Spearfish.
Yeah, that's right. Out there.
Because I found that out one time when my son got in trouble.
You found a lawyer, huh?
No, I found a lawyer. I said, boy, you related to the kiddies back in Brooklyn. Yep, my parents. I'm like, oh boy.
Are you any good as a lawyer?
I can't remember what his name was.
I can't remember what it was either.
Matt?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
So I donated a little bit to his school fund, I guess.
Did he win the case for your son? Get him off?
No.
Oh.
It really, if I'd have known about it beforehand, we wouldn't have, we'd just paid the fine and been done with it. It was a heck of a lot, it was extra $500 to find out that we were gonna, you just won't pay the fine law, you figured that out already.
I think everybody's.
I want to call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mockler.
Here.
Packard's absent. Smith. Here. Manning.
Here.
Hammond.
Here. Any conflict of interest declaration? Hearing none. Approve agenda.
We got to add something. We got to add a contract.
We need to add contract amendment to the 2019 Highway Infrastructure Program Fund.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Approve minutes.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Are there any visitors to be heard? Lexi.
I just wanted to, as an FYI, let you guys know, we did get our notice for our grant award. And we'd been waiting on that. It came in a little bit later this year. I know it did for a lot of people. So this is the Violence Against Women Act grant funding, and it is down by about $15,000. So we went from a grant award last year of $32,242. You know, the year before it was 33, the year before that was 31, and we're down to 18,468. So that's concerning. I expected that more in the prior 4 years, and that never came than we did this year. But so I want to make you guys aware of that as it pertains to where that falls in the budget. That's a decrease in revenue of about $15,000.
Anything else? Lexi? That good?
Not for
Okay.
anything else. No.
Are there any other visitors to be heard? Hearing none. Rob. Hiring advice.
Yes. I guess I have 2 really good candidates and I hate to lose either one of them. Rick is retiring in January and it's taken this long since Dan quit to get somebody hired. I'd like to hire them both and be ahead of the game.
And that'll just replace, that'll be
That's
Rick
Rick
replacement?
and Dan. You know, Rick is retiring in January, but it's almost taken us 4 months to do this hiring process. And if you look at it from a per hour, they start out at 16 and Dan was up in the 28. So we're looking at an extra $5 an hour in my budget. Can handle it. I have 100 hours overtime in there for each person, and we haven't had to use that for snow removal or flood, whatever, so far. So I would like to be able to hire them both instead of just the one. And they're both local, they're both young, finally. Which I know.
Good for our med insurance.
Phyllis is not here. Sorry about that. But yeah, so I'm just, I guess, that's what I would like to do.
Do you have any money left in your budget? Will you have?
Yeah. To cover it, you mean? Yeah, it'll easily cover it. I believe it's 16, correct, is new hire this year. Yeah.
I don't know
I'm
off the
pretty
top
sure
of my head.
I know. I'm
It's
pretty
in the
sure
ballpark.
That's what you sent, that's what we had wrote down, so I'm pretty sure. Because I think it was like 15 something last year, so
So when is Rick gonna retire in January?
January on his birthday, he'll be 65.
And that's first part of January?
Yep.
I'd make a motion to go ahead and do that. It sounds like a good idea to me.
So what are you trying to hire anybody is right now?
Yeah, that's
And
what I think.
just something else, I don't want to discuss it too much.
Is it personnel? We can go into executive session for that if you want to wait.
Well, I don't really think it's that bad, but
Okay.
Larry's out on medical leave and I don't know for how long. So I'm really short right now. Plus I got a couple guys getting ready to go in for shoulder surgeries, not work related, thank goodness, but
Wow.
terrible time, but that's the way it goes. So, but that's what would like to do anyway.
Do we need that motion?
Yeah, I've got a motion.
I'll do a second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you. And then the IT services, we contacted Erickson Solution because we're having trouble at the shop with our cloud and backing up. We have this little backup thing on our bookshelf and he looked at it and yeah, it's apparently not good. Do you have all the stuff in front of you, the hours? Cause I forgot to print mine off.
Yeah, we've got it.
But I talked to Carrie about it and that's pretty much what they have. And I think we need to get caught up and I guess looking for your approval to go ahead with that. And I still got enough money in the budget I will have enough money in the budget to cover that. I did not put it in on my next year's budget because I believe there's 2 monthly payments with that. Is there, or was it just one?
Just one, I think.
I think there might have been just one.
It says $148 a month recurring costs for data,
Okay.
retention in the cloud and the licensing.
And I think it's something, we had her computer crash 3 years ago when we thought we had it backed up then. And the other company we had, not so much. So,
So you said you didn't put that in next year's budget?
no, I didn't because it just came to us
Okay.
while I was on vacation last week. So,
So I'll have to make sure we get that in there. Wishes of the board on this one
I guess
for the data.
go ahead and approve it, I guess. I don't think we have much choice.
the main thing is to get Laura's computer. Mine's not so much. She's got all the financial and that stuff saved in hers.
Yeah, I'd second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Yeah, see, that's all we ever do anymore is it's something with a computer,
I know.
a backup or put new data. I mean, seriously.
Mhm.
I mean, the cost just keeps going.
Mhm.
It's hard to keep up with all the
Yeah.
technology.
And you know, it's been 5-6 years ago, my computer got ransomware in it. So it's sitting on the cupboard because it can't be used again. I lost all the old files that, because that was still part of Art's stuff. And we've dug around in there. Keith has got in there and got a few things out, but yeah. So it happened once already.
Yeah.
We had a switch that went bad last week on Friday, and it was an old one from the previous company that had been okay and obviously was not okay anymore, and knocked out the capability for almost all the offices to work on Friday for a good portion of the day, because most of the programs we use are web-based. So
Yeah.
it's just keeping up with the technology is expensive, but it's so important.
Yeah.
So you're saying going back to a notebook and pen, it's not gonna work?
Not so much.
You have to have somebody who can read the writing though.
No kidding.
As long as there's no doctors in there, we'll be all right.
I don't know, going through those old minutes it's tough reading that stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else, Rod?
Yeah, just an update. Our building addition is done. Completed. They gotta come wash a little bit of the frame off and pick up a little garbage, and then went quick. And I was over there every day and they did a very good job. Took out part of the old building. So yeah, it's ready to go.
Good.
And then also I was contacted about our transportation study. And I know I brought it up before that I'd like to have a couple commissioners on that board, and we're getting ready to get names in there. So whenever you guys feel somebody wants to volunteer. So right now it's myself, Lane, and Drew. And then they would like 2 commissioners on there also. And they have 4 from the DOT. And then we're about ready to get going on that preliminary study or a meeting. And I don't know what the meetings, I have no idea if it's be a Zoom meeting or if they come down during the commission meeting. I have no idea yet, but just told me to be prepared. They're getting close, so.
I guess I'd volunteer.
Yeah, I'd volunteer too.
Thanks.
Anything else?
That's good enough for me.
Okay.
No, that's everything.
Thank you. Anybody have anything for Rod?
Oh, yes, that contract.
Oh, that's right. Sorry about that.
Do you have a copy of it? I brought, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
You, I think Terry has to attest to it. Yep. Yeah, that's for the money we got. They extended the date we have till 2025. December 31st, 2025 to spend the rest of that money that we got allocated. We did the Dakota Street Bridge with, so they're extending it out.
Okay.
So I would
Need a motion,
recommend you sign.
need a motion to sign the amendment.
Yeah, so move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
And I'll just You wanna send that in, Carrie, or do you want me to just pick it up at your office?
I can send it in.
Okay,
I have to send the minutes with it anyway.
okay. Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's everything, Rod? Yep, thank you. Thank you. Lexi, Westlaw contract?
Okay, let me find that. Basically, so our Westlaw contract is up for renewal. I believe that we sign 3-year agreements here. And Westlaw is the search engine that I use to search anything legal. So it's a very necessary thing. Our options are Westlaw, Nexus is another option. But I've always liked Westlaw. It's what we've had since I got here. And they're changing their programming just a bit. So it's going to this from Westlaw Next to Westlaw Edge. So it's going to go up a little bit for us anyway. As you could see from the pricing there, it's about $60 a month that it's going to go up. It has some new features. I have not had the chance to delve into that a lot. You know, from my standpoint, it still does all the same things I want it to do. So that's a good thing. There are some out of contract things like, you know, I can't have access to every single trial court opinion in the state of South Dakota. It'll blurb up on my searches that that's an option for me to pay extra for. I would probably just go find those opinions at the clerk of courts if I really wanted them or something in that regard. And then there's some other administrative things and out of state things that we don't have access to, but it covers what we need it to cover. It does what it needs to do. They wanted to pitch me on this government add-on as well, which as you can see would be an additional $100 above and beyond that per month. It sounded kind of neat as far as we would have access to form documents and things like that. So if we were looking for things like lease agreements or other things that other governments have done, employee policies and things like that, there's options for that. And then it's categorized per state. So they gave me an option to test it out for a couple of weeks, and I got on it once and didn't have time to get back to it. And we zoomed back in and I said, guys, appreciate it. I just haven't had time to go through this to justify the $100 additional per month. They said, oh, it's okay. It's okay. We'll go ahead and extend that. And I still, for what it's worth, just haven't had time. You know, my thought was, had we not gone with our HR company, this would be super important. You know, when we were looking at redrafting handbooks and things like that, there would be value to it, unquestionably. You know, could I foresee times when we would use this? Yes. Or could possibly use it and see what other places have done when it pertains to policies, you know, FMLA, different things of that nature. But I guess I'm not here to ask you for the additional bump up. If you guys think it's a good idea, I wanted to let you know that that is an option, but would ask for either authorization to sign in. I think right now how they have it is for me to sign, to go online and just re-up and sign the contract. I would have to look into that, Travis, for you to do it, but wanted permission to re-up with Westlaw, whichever avenue you go, whether it's Travis signing that contract or me for the next 3-year plan at that $60 a month. Well, not $60 a month, the additional $60 a month. You can see it's more than that, but it's a really good tool and I use it probably daily. They were very surprised and interested to see our use. I use that more for searches I do for you guys and department heads. And I mean, I'm working on a brief right now on a criminal matter that I'm definitely using it for, but it gets as much use out of it for researching the civil side of things as anything. And I think they were kind of surprised when they asked about needs, and that's why they talked about that government option. So
what do we pay right now?
Is that 487?
Let me look, see here. I have that on a Post-it somewhere else. I think I went back and looked. I thought it was about $60 less than that.
Oh.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Carrie.
Yeah, I can look and see if I've got it here.
It's the two options going ahead, we're $487 a month or $529 a month.
Yeah.
So it'd be about $43, would that be, or somewhere in there?
Oh. Yeah, you're right. It isn't 100. They must have meant $100 more than what we're paying right now for that government
That'd be
add-on.
about right for your $60 then.
Yeah, good
Looks like
call.
we're at about $400 a month. Does that sound right?
Okay, so 400, so now, so it's 87 more a month then. So going from $400 a month to $487 a month for that basic, and then up to the 529.
I'm just looking back at the old contracts. This is the 2018 contract. I assume that's the one we're renewing.
Yep.
So $399.05 a month.
Oh,
So $400.
Yeah.
yeah.
And to correct my own math, I think that's $32 a month difference between those two plans.
But I definitely would ask us to sign on for the 487 a month, because I think that, and we get our use out of that. It's a good thing to have. And it includes 3 lawyer subscriptions. That may have been the difference, is we might have locked in at that at one point in time when we had 2 attorneys, and then we added that third and they bumped us up just a smidgy bit on that. That might be that where I got that $60 difference, because they might have added. So we have 3 attorney licenses. With each attorney license comes an admin. So we hadn't tapped into that for a while. And I think about a year and a half ago, I was like, hey, we do want those logins for Jill and Linda. They don't use it often, but if we're paying for it, might as well. And right now, Claire is using our third attorney login because we don't have a third attorney. So
But you want to go with the $529 a month?
not necessarily. I mean, I was thinking it was $100 more a month instead of the 32 difference.
42.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I'll tell you is
42.
I'm not certain we'll get our miles out of it, but we might. I mean, we might tap in. I just haven't had a chance to test it out. So that's why I didn't want to come ask you guys. I mean, they've given me an opportunity to. I just haven't. I browsed around on it. I mean, there might be a project or something that comes up that it would prove beneficial to see how other counties and other states have done things. What always gives me a little bit of, they did acknowledge South Dakota isn't as developed yet. So they gather all these documents from the people who sign on to their company and go into this. And so they'll have South Dakota licensed attorneys who have drafted these things. And that's going to be their bank of forms and documents and policies and all of that. South Dakota isn't as expansive as some of their other states, California, New York, those types of places. So I can look at some of those other places and what they do, but then I have to cross-reference to make sure that whatever policies and stuff they're drafting are going to be applicable for us. And in some respects, that could become more cumbersome. South Dakota stuff, good stuff. I mean, that's what, and they said they're growing that, but that's what that government difference gets us, is more of those form documents, drafts. And I just don't really know enough to say how often we would use that.
So you can't say it's worth $500 a year.
Correct.
Can you say a year down the line, go ahead and say, I kind of like that now?
We could always renegotiate. Their salespeople would always be happy to renegotiate with
Well, I
us
figured
and
they
add
would,
something
but-
in. So,
I mean, to me,
yeah.
that makes more sense to let South Dakota get more
yeah.
stuff
they-
in the information in there.
And
than
they did
back
give you
look at
another
it.
month or 2 to look at it?
Well, they did. I think we're up to renew on July 30th. But I would agree that's a very practical point, is that if we wanted to go add something in later, I'm sure they would visit with us at any
Yeah.
time about that.
Our current one will expire on the 31st of August.
Oh, it's 31st of August.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before we talk ourselves into the extra money, maybe I'll make a motion that we go with the 487 plan.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you guys very much.
Clay County Park lease. Did everybody get a chance to see it?
Yeah. Looks like it's pretty straightforward.
Good to
isn't
me.
it?
Yeah, it's similar to what we had before. Did you get a chance to look at it, Lane? Yeah.
Do you want to take a look? Oh, you got it. Yeah.
Oh, you want this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here, I can move over.
For Lane's benefit, the lease is essentially exactly the same, except for the small portion that talks about the length of the lease. I think it's right there below the legal description.
And that was the only other thing that I just wrote on there is I didn't have a chance to go back and cross-reference and just to make sure that all the legal description of the property is accurate. So if somebody has checked that to make sure that we're all on the same page, and if it's the same thing as before, then we should be good. But
I did not, but it is the same as it was before. So if it was correct before, it's correct now.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Move to approve that lease?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Hi.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
While we're on the park, I was just going to bring up that the advisory board did meet last Friday for y'all. Only had a couple members able to attend, but lots of discussion on, they were not really familiar with the history and the goings on and all that. So it was a good discussion. We have a survey monkey out to everybody right now to pick the best date and time to get everybody to go. And as of right now, it's looking like Tuesday evenings is probably going to be the one that works for that. So anyway, I'll keep you updated as we get going on it. I am giving those two newer community members a tour of all the facilities Thursday afternoon. So anyway, we're going. It'll get better. One other thing, this is going to be maybe for Betty and Dick since you go to the meetings. Rod and I were talking yesterday. The county highway has a tractor down there. It's a red one.
It's a Super M.
Yeah. Anyway, Rod originally said he had loaned it out to the rodeo club to whatever, smooth drag, and has a use for it to drag the parking lots and all that, but not sure how it ended up there, how we get it back, all of that. So
Yeah, still runs, and they use it to drag the roads down there.
Well, they're still using it. I just hate to see it sitting back there. Not getting used. That's what we used to drag our parking lot with.
Yeah,
Can't hear Rod.
Oh, your microphone's not on, Rod. At least it would sit inside if Rod had it. I mean, they can always borrow it, right?
It's not like it's a long ways away.
no.
Yeah, and I know that the rodeo has some road issues right now. They say the gravel entranceway is a big problem, but it sounds like maybe they need gravel and not just scraping.
Yeah, both rodeo grounds and the shooting club are kind of waiting for a grading, but that's when Rod's crew has time to do that.
yeah, and we talked about that yesterday as well.
Oh, good.
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 So,
Yeah, I'm willing to, we've done it in the past, so I mean, as long as you guys are okay with it, we're okay with it. We had to go trim some trees so we get in there with the blade the one year because knocked the antenna off of a cab or something, but yeah, whatever. Just nobody had brought it to my attention in the last year about I think it's been maybe a year ago, we bladed the rodeo or the shooting club entrance. So
Great. That'll solve their they're concerned about it. That'll solve their problem for sure. Thanks.
you said the rodeo club? what, at the entrance there, or where is that?
Yeah, so Bill Kennedy could tell you.
Okay. He just lives west of the shop, correct? Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, I know both of them. Both driveways need some attention. So.
Okay. I'll take a look at them today. Well, I probably can't get in the gun club, but I can take a look from the road anyway. All right.
I've got,
I guess
I've got phone numbers for both Al and,
Yeah, I guess I do too from
Yeah.
the, getting this. Oh, the signs are up, by the way,
yeah,
I believe. I drove by them quite a few times and I haven't forgot to look, I guess. They're not in my office anymore, so they must be up.
I guess as far as the tractor goes, I think it'd be a lot better sitting off inside than it is sitting down there outside. It'll deteriorate pretty fast sitting outside all the time.
I don't know what the tires are like anymore. Or,
never really look that closely. Yeah, usually if you keep the can on the exhaust or
Yeah, exactly.
in the electrics.
So I guess I would think that that would be something to go down and get and just let them
actually,
know that.
I think we went down there with a box scraper and did the road. We found out that worked better than the blade because the blade is so hard to get around in there.
Yeah.
And I think we took the box scraper down and did it a couple times with that. That worked pretty slick.
Those are all pretty firm roads too,
Yeah.
you know, so just
Yeah, we've
dragging
added
them
quite a
doesn't
bit of
do a lot.
gravel over the years in there.
I know they use that tractor for the Halloween party and they did for that hammock-in thing too. They used that to ferry people on a hay rack up and down from the boat ramp parking. So other than that, I don't know if they use it a lot.
But it's still gonna be available for them.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, we can bring it down whenever.
Yeah.
And that's, I've just been curious about it, and Lane and I were talking about other stuff. I go, hey, by the way,
And it'll just be one less thing sitting there.
Yeah.
So.
it just won't be sitting in the lead too.
I was with the rodeo club when that tractor deal went down, and if you're interested, there was never any written agreement, but yeah, the highway loaned it to the rodeo club to use for improving and maintaining the arena because there wasn't another use for it. And then when the rodeo club disbanded, essentially all the rodeo club's investment into the property was essentially turned over to the park board. But the tractor itself wasn't part of the property, so it does seem appropriate that the county would take that back. But it was just left behind, and the park board or other. There is no rodeo club, but other people that use the arena were using it. But I think that putting it back inside under the highways supervision would be appropriate.
I do too. And the rodeo grounds, I know that Bill uses his own equipment to groom that.
Yeah, because
weekly.
the M got stuck in, first time they tried to pull in that sand that
Yeah.
M got stuck, and then that Kennedy come over with his tractor, and he had a little better fuel cultivator thing that dug it up a little better than the drag kind of seemed to be packing it down more. So
Right.
that's kind of when it got parked, and we didn't have a mower for it either, so they couldn't use it for mowing. We go in and mow it. I don't know, Andy, has anybody been in there to mow it?
I haven't looked at it this year. I don't know if anybody's mowing it. I think that Kennedy's were mowing it and baling the large area for quite a while. I don't know if that's still an ongoing thing.
Yeah, I drove in there the other day and it was mowed down, or at least reasonable. Anyway, it wasn't overgrown.
Anything else on the park? one more thing. It's not on the park. It's just informational. They're still talking about paving that road to the Highlands.
I got a couple emails from Drew.
The townships thinking about or discussing what they want. No, if they want to have it happen or what they want.
Because the last letter I received, 2023 was the earliest it could happen, and only if the funds were available. And I would assume that the prices went up substantially since because it was about $1 million. And that's been, gotta be 8 years ago.
I was gonna say four.
Was it? It seems a lot longer than that.
Yeah, for a mile and a half, they allocated $100,000.
And I would assume the price of that went up. And I believe there was something to fix that upper parking lot too. I was thinking that was gonna get paved also. Nothing down by the boat ramp, but this was just strictly an access grant.
But I left it with the chair, Kelvin Hansen, he's the chairman of Norway Town, it's Norway, right?
Yeah, it's Norway Township.
I left it up to him because it's their road to give up, not ours to take. So I said, you guys figure out what you want to do.
Yeah.
You want to see it or not.
So
Now,
that's,
was it giving up? One thing I remember was that the Park Service would pay for paving the road, but the township would be responsible for upkeep after that.
And that's the problem. They don't have any equipment to keep it up. We
Right.
would have to take it over.
Right.
And I did tell him I hate to give up a road that's gonna be paid and paid by for somebody else. But that was up to them, what they want to do with their road. So I'm waiting on them.
yeah, I got an email from Drew. Somebody asked him, he thought it was getting paid this year, or maybe next year. I don't remember now, but 23 was what the letter stated.
Well, they got to survey it, they've got to acquire property, because the road's got to be widened.
Right.
There's a lot of steps to be going through that.
Yeah, it'll take a year just to get it up to bid letting. All the things, and it don't seem like that much but a mile is just as bad as 10 miles to get all the legal stuff lined up. So is that something then the county would take over if they want to?
Well, that would be another discussion we'd have to have before anything got signed.
Well, it should be a good road.
Should be. Okay. Thank you. The resolution for opt-out.
I guess I don't see we got a whole lot of choice here. And the only thing that I'd like to do on a yearly deal. That's my opinion. I guess I would like to go for the whole 750 and do it for a year. And if there's, at the end of the year, we can reevaluate. I know there was concern that if we had a lot of, we misappropriated, and there was a lot of money left over, but then that would just mean to me that the next year we wouldn't appropriate as much if we had to. That's my opinion, but strictly mine. And I guess I would make the motion that way, to be honest.
And I concur in all of those thoughts. And I'd second.
Yeah, I agree with one year. I guess I,
One second, Betty. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Now we can start.
so I agree with the idea of 1 year because we have so little experience with this. I kind of think I'd like to go with Andy Howe's suggestion of 600,000. And I say that knowing that we've got a small emergency contingency account, but also kind of trusting his numbers and his estimates of how, of how that's going to go. I'm really loath to overtax in any way. In the event that we had a complete disaster and we were short $150,000 unexpectedly, we could certainly amend the budget. It's just not that hard to do. We could do that and appropriate additional funds from fund balance. So, I suppose I would propose that as an amendment to the motion, which, the makers can accept or reject as they choose.
So if we go with the 600,000, that puts us at 14.6% reserve next year. But doesn't take into account the extra we've got to spend this year. So we could even be lower.
That's my concern.
We have no idea what, population could drop, we could spend $200,000.
Yeah.
Population could rise and we don't have enough yet. I'm nervous at that 14% reserve.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a very big number.
Yeah, me too, because that's probably one of the smallest numbers we've had going in.
I
Isn't it?
think 19 was the lowest
Yeah.
we've ever been since I've been on.
Yeah, me too. And that's what concerns me. I did spend some time looking at some of those mandatory cuts. And I probably not anybody's gonna like me, but I cut 37,000 and I think there's some more to cut. I think I could cut some more out of that, of those, but so there'd be some there. I guess one of the questions I have is the Vermillion now? We pledged $20,000 a year.
Yeah.
Because you pledge it doesn't mean you have to do it, right? I mean, I hate to back out of it, but I actually cut that by half, and I think that, and I'm part of me. Last night, the other day I cut it in half, and last night I was looking at it again, and I thought, you know what? Maybe that's something you cut completely out. I mean, I just don't have a really good feeling that, that's another 10 grand. Now I'm up to about 47,000 and get but 50,000. I'd feel if I could do something like that, then I'd feel a little more comfortable with going down to the 600,000. But I don't feel comfortable with the 600,000 the way it is right now. And I know when people look at my cuts that I did, there's going to be a lot of gnashing teeth. I tell you that. And those are just the little things. And I know if we get into the budget, with some of the departments are not going to like some of the things that we might have to do. And I'm not looking forward to that. The last thing I want to do is cut people, is not to give people raises. I think that's an important part of keeping things going. But it's going to be difficult to find some other cuts. I know it is. So that's the reason why I want to stay with the 750.
Yeah, and I agree with you that we would have to make some cuts at 600,000. I mean, no question in my mind. But it's interesting over time. I've noticed that budgets often shift, under this kind of pressure, and sometimes they shift to become more responsive to the current needs of the community than they might have been before. So I think $50,000 in cuts is very reasonable. So maybe we're looking more at a $650,000 or $700,000, opt out.
Would you like any input? I don't want to.
Yes.
Just letting you know, the difference between those two estimates essentially has to do with our average daily population and where we put them. Two different factors involved. We've been having some great success with Union County being able to take our inmates in these past few months. I hope that persists until we have our own jail. because the savings are considerable. In the difference being essentially $200,000 to $300,000 a year different if we can house in Union County versus Minnehaha County. Yankton can take our inmates and they are cheaper, but I don't know that they would have the space to take them all like Union or Minnehaha County. So as long as Union County is available to us, we save a lot on our daily rate as well as our transport costs. And I'm optimistic looking at these last few months that should continue, hopefully through next year. And then as to our daily population, the numbers I've given you are based on 20 inmates. Right now, we're running in the 16 range, 16 to 17 per day, and a couple of those are out on house arrest. So we're seeing some savings there. I expect those numbers to increase over the next year or so. But if they increase slowly, that'll be considerable savings again for Clay County on these. So the numbers I gave you, I'm not saying they're inaccurate. They're prepping for the worst. But I'm hoping to see some savings as our average daily population rebounds from COVID. Hopefully that takes some time, and that we'll see those savings. So I don't think 600,000 maybe or so is inappropriately low. I don't want to be caught off guard short of funds, but as Betty said, maybe we could adjust it if the money's there. If we don't have the contingency money to transfer, there isn't much we can do. But that's your decision. I just wanted to make sure you understood where my numbers were coming from, why I have high and low numbers. And if you have any questions, I'll try to get answers for you.
I'll amend my motion. I'll make it 700,000. Get in the middle with the hopes that we can cut $50,000 out of the budget.
I'd support that. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call. Roll call.
Hammond,
Yes.
Manning,
Yes.
Smith,
No,
Mochler.
No.
That's fine. Yeah, we can't do much
Yes.
about it.
I just don't think we're gonna be too low, I think.
Okay.
I'm afraid of it. Unless, I mean, for $50,000 in cuts, it's not gonna cut.
Well, that bring you back to your 750,000, but you're thinking 50,000 on cuts on top of that 750. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I was,
I understand.
yeah, so I'm new here, so I'm asking a real question here. So are we assuming then that the jail is going to cost 750,000 instead of 600,000? Or are we subsidizing other parts of the budget with this opt-out? So strictly the jail. I still feel so if our sheriff is telling us 600,000, that's a reasonable number, I'd be willing, maybe to go up to 650,000, but
my thought is, we need to recoup what we're gonna spend this year on it too. We're gonna deplete our reserves. Anything happens with Rod's department, a bridge falls down, we don't have any money. And that's what that reserve and everything is for emergency. And if we're just gonna take the money for day-to-day expenses, there is nothing for the rainy day. So we do need to kind of build it back up. I'd really like to get back to that 20% somewhere. For what's left or whatever.
But isn't the idea here is to this money, as far as I understand, is the opt-out is because of the jail. And that's the money, that's where we're going to use the money. It's not going to be used for anything else. And so I guess what Andy's saying, yeah, if everything works the right way, that he can get by on 600,000. However, if he ends up has to go to Minnehaha County instead of here, then things get drastically higher. That 750 is going to be, he might even be wrong. He said it could jump 200,000. Well, 200,000 on top of 6 is 800,000. So, I mean, he might even be short there is what I'm getting at. So that's how I originally said 750. and I talked myself down to 700. But I mean, I don't like to be over the top either. I'm just like you are, but it's the same token. I don't want to sit here in the end trying to figure out where we're going to drag some money out. Because that's pretty hard to do because there isn't any.
I might be too bad, but 700,000, I can find $130,000.
Travis, you're quite a ways from your mic.
Sorry.
Well,
I said
yeah,
with the
I know.
700,000, I can still find $130,000 of non-mandated cut.
Right.
And just,
So Andy, how far into reserves do you think you'll be at the end of 2021?
I'm working off memory. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I was thinking that, and this is probably thinking a little high because at the time I did these numbers, I wasn't sure if Union County could take them all, but I was looking at maybe another 120 some thousand for this year. I think 128 was the number that I was projecting we might come up short this year.
Okay, and could any of that be found in your existing budget, or will it all need to come from other places?
In my 2020 budget, that was taking into account some savings on meals. And again, I hate to say the word savings because we're spending the money to feed them. We're just spending it in another county. But out of my meal budget, that would I would underspend on that and overspend on the boarding budget. And I recall anticipating that to be $128,000 short this year. I could do a little math real quick here though while you talk and see if I'm anywhere close on that.
I think that's what I recall that time too. Something on that, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we're looking out forward too over the next 18 months. And we already have demonstrated that inflation's going to take a toll on us. Looking ahead, there have been a lot of projection on whether it's going to sag back a little bit over time, but the couple of items that I've gotten from my bank anyway, they're expecting it to stay at 6% or thereabouts over the medium term, short to medium term. And that means our expenses a year out are going to probably be a little higher than we're projecting. Those fuel costs, especially, some of the data I've been getting through the my geologist side, on petroleum, that petroleum costs are probably going to stay high and actually grow some over the next year or so. Possibly 30%.
I checked my my boarding bills for June, and based on what's left in that line item and what June cost, I do expect we will go over in that range of $128,000 for the rest of this year. That's presuming the same number of inmates and that we can take them to Union County.
So Alexis, can I change my vote? How do we do this? Because I'm, on that basis, I would go back and vote yes on the 700,000.
We can entertain another motion.
Can't
we can just do that.
under Robert's rules, can the, oh no, it wasn't a
Amend it again?
prevailing side. Yeah. Oh, but I'm on the losing side. Was there a losing side and a prevailing side? No. Okay, this is a Robert's rules problem.
We can make a new motion.
Right.
Oh, okay.
See that, and
Okay.
it takes, this needs 4 votes or affirmative votes, right?
Yes, because Phyllis is gone.
Correct.
Well, never mind.
I was gonna say maybe a motion to reconsider, but certainly if somebody made a motion again and identified, the further discussion and whatnot, I think that's.
Certainly say if we had a motion for 705K, that would solve the problem.
Price is right. That's it. Yeah.
Can I make such a motion?
You can make it for whatever you want.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it can be 700,000 if that's what you want.
720.
725.
There you go.
I think that's closer to what we could all be comfortable with, probably is in the 725 range.
Depends on how much we cut.
Yes.
I'm really looking at it. I know what you were saying earlier about the 100, you could cut 130,000. That's a little tough. I know it can be done. I know, but I mean, you're really,
Not if you went out and polled the taxpayers.
well, I
And they're
agree.
gonna say, why are you charging more for stuff that we don't have to pay?
Right. I get it, but there's some things in there that I'd have a really difficult time with. That mental health is one.
Well,
I'd have
I'll
tou-
be honest, that 30,000 was both Lewis and Clark's, the mental health, the drug abuse. And food. Those were the three I left.
Those are the three you left.
Everything else got cut.
Yeah, and you could do that real easy. I've seen that too, but I know, but I mean, I was trying to be a little bit leaving something in there, but I get what you're saying. You could do it.
It
Yes,
just makes the discussion later. How can you cut me this much? You didn't cut them that much.
right. Yeah, you got a point.
That's, maybe I'm too black and white on it too, but
Well, no, though, sometimes that's the best way. Then there's no ands and bits about it, you know.
because I absolutely don't want to go into the operating budget and start cutting there.
I don't either.
There isn't that much of the operating budget that we can cut without really affecting the services
Oh,
that we're required to make. So,
But I mean, past boards have done it to make it, they put the burden on the staff.
that's right,
To
on
lighten the burden
employees,
on themselves.
right. I move that we opt out at the amount of 725,000 for 1 year.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hammond,
Yes.
Manning,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes,
Mochler.
Yes. Motion passes.
And Andy's gonna keep us down at 600.
I'll do my best. Those numbers are based on Yankton County's rate, which is in between Union and Minnehaha County. So as long as Union County has Space Force, we should be well within that budget.
So what's Yankton County's?
$85 a day. Union County charges us $60 a day. Minnehaha County is pennies away from $100 a day.
Because I know it's gonna be a question I'm gonna hear from some people, so I kind of want to know. For sure. So Union County was 60, 85, and about 100.
Yes, and Thurston County, Nebraska is $50 a day, but there's additional distance and with pretrial inmates, I think that will only be good for us if we had somebody maybe sitting a long sentence. We'll definitely keep that in mind when it's appropriate because there is some savings there. Most of our inmates are pretrial, and it works best to have them in Union County because of cost as well as access to the public defender. So ideally, Union County's partnership holds up well with us because it's working out pretty well so far.
Any building discussions?
I was just gonna update you guys. I talked to Dick Strasberg yesterday and he's been speaking with JLG Architects about the HVAC and, you know, a design for the jail that would be just the jail. They hope to have something to us by Thursday. So by the next meeting for sure, we should have some more information for you guys.
So that's building, or that's jail and law enforcement.
Right, right.
And what I've got for you is gonna be an executive session. Anybody have anything else for the building discussion? Do you have any questions?
I did have a deal, I had a BDC meeting the other day. And one of the things was they opened up and put the pricing on phase 2 out at Bliss Point. So those lots are gonna be started up for sale now. So that was probably the biggest thing. They put the price on different ones in there. The first year, they're gonna be a certain price, and then the next year, they're gonna kick up. So if you buy 10% rate, because that's the thing they didn't do the other time, they left them all the same price. So it kind of made it a bad deal the way it all turned out. So, and they gave all 3 realtors in Brazilian got a certain amount of them. They weren't sure exactly how they were gonna do it. The last time they had like a lottery. So you got to pick your lot, and then they flipped the coin, first person started and went down the line. That's how they got the different lots. I don't think they were gonna quite do it quite that way this time. Weren't sure exactly what they were gonna do. And they, I think, well, I do know that Dakota Realty and Premier are like 40-some%, got 40% of the lot, will get 40% of the lots. And Maloney is gonna get like 10%. And the reason is, and my percentages might be off here, but that was pretty much what it is. They went by how many they sold, and that's how they did it for the next phase. There you go.
Anything else? Did the vouchers come?
I didn't get those sent out, so
Okay.
we'll just do those next time.
Nothing for joint jurisdiction. Executive session for contractual.
Oh, make a motion, go into executive.
Second.
Please. I did have a second.
Yes.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're in executive session.
Went a little sleep at the wheel there, Travis.
What's that?
I went a little sleep at the wheel. You were looking at me.
I saw that like,
I was Susie.
I was
Trying to get my.
I'm half auctioneer over here.
Yes, yes. Trying to get my computer under control. Motion to come out of executive session, please.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We're in regular session. Anybody have anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.